Welcome back to 1010 Podcast with Michael and Adam and Robbie.
We're back!
Shit.
Throwback edition.
Oh, shit.
After your almost full year hiatus, just to get away from the fans,
Yep.
we finally got you back.
In the words of Ben Solemn, right? Fuck the fans.
Fuck the fans.
I was going to say, are we still doing Fuck the Fans?
Yeah,
Ben wanted so badly to say that at least once during the podcast. So,
Really?
Yep, that was like one of his things that when we asked him, like, hey, man, you want to come on the show? Like, yeah. And then he's like talking to us, and he's like, okay, seriously, though, can I say fuck the fans? And I was like,
Dude,
it's your show, man. Like, we're here for the ride. It's your show. So
funny.
you do whatever you need to do.
Ben's a good dude. I haven't talked to him in a long time.
Nah.
Long time.
He was fun. We'll definitely have him back.
That was a good show.
Yeah. So
I
what's
don't know
up, man?
I don't know what you guys do now because I don't.
It's almost
I'll
not
be honest, I
changed.
don't listen. It's exactly the same. It's just
We actually care a little less.
Which is hard to
okay.
believe.
Yeah, we definitely come in with even less structure very regularly.
I think it's like the Adam Jabay thing now, because like he talked about early on, like they were dead serious. Like you got to do 2 shows a week, you got to do this, you got to do that, and I think at some point you just go, you can't. It's not realistic. Like unless you're making a living doing it, it's just not.
No,
it's
definitely
hard to do.
Well, like I was gonna say, like this, like with us in the last like 6 months too, it's just kind of like we don't really talk about it until like Monday or Tuesday, and then it's like, hey, can we do a show in like an hour and a half? Yeah, what do you want to talk about? I don't know. What have you been up to?
I don't know. I haven't been doing anything, so what are we going to talk about?
Yeah, it's a super weird year. And like it seems that a lot of devoted listeners are still up to date, but a huge chunk of people have kind of fallen behind, I think, with the change in like normal work schedules.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
People aren't as caught up on the new episodes, so they don't notice when you take a week off, which is, it's kind
people
of
aren't traveling as much.
Yep.
I didn't think about that. That is kind of screwy.
I thought
if people aren't driving to work.
Mm-hmm.
I bet a bunch of people were listening when they were driving back and forth to work. And if they're not doing that, like I don't listen to podcasts now as much either. And I don't know if that's just because I listen to Sirius or it's because we're just not doing as many things, just not out and about or at home watching movies, or I don't know. It's just for some reason it's not as convenient.
Right.
I don't know why that is, but my life has changed quite a bit since last year too.
Well, I assume that now that you're not doing the podcast, you have all this free time. You have no stress.
So many free times. I have so many free times that I got engaged, which means now I have no free times.
Yeah, my condolences. Speaking as a married man, my condolences.
So that was good. That was obviously exciting. That happened probably 2 months ago now, I think. And don't ask when we're going to get married because we have no idea. And I think we're actually I think we're going to do the courthouse marriage though.
As someone that didn't do that, I highly recommend it. highly recommend
Robbie's
it.
still eating barbecue, by the way.
No, that's not a joke.
I'm not joking.
So we had we had Famous Dave's cater the wedding, and then we had all this leftover like pulled chicken, like an entire tray of it, and we just put it in bags and threw it in the deep freeze. I still have 3 bags left. I basically take a bag out, like it's a Ziploc bag, and I'll thaw it, and then I'll make sandwiches out of it for lunch at work. I have 3 bags left. It's been over a year. It's still good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but it's not like Robbie's going to be going any barbecue takeout anytime soon.
No.
Once you work through that, you're probably never going to want to eat barbecue ever again.
I don't want Famous Dave's barbecue chicken ever again.
I'm going to New Orleans in a week, so I'm going to have some sort of fancy foods. But
can you eat any of that stuff? It's awfully spicy.
I don't know. I don't even know if we're going to leave the track.
It might be underwater. We talked about this.
Well, if that's the case, then I'm not going to even make it to the track.
I didn't look because they got hit with a hurricane today. This is Wednesday. So
it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like fucking sunny and clear the rest of the week and all of next week.
I didn't look at the news. So I'm not sure. It was supposed to be Category 1. It was supposed to have 6 feet of storm surge. So I don't know if that's how that turned out.
Well, I mean, the racetrack, while still being below sea level, is slightly higher than the town, at least. So it'll be fine, right?
Yeah, but isn't the track like dramatically closer to the ocean than the town?
I have no idea where it is in relation to.
I know where it is on a map.
Anything.
I don't know where the city is in comparison to it.
Yeah. So I'm going to NOLA next weekend. Yeah, fucking next weekend with Dalton Klein, who bought a stacker for $6,000, and then realized that he didn't have a trailer or a truck he could tow it with, so he had to buy a $60,000 truck.
Okay, never mind.
But we're going down there. He just like he'll hit up all of our buddies. Like, hey, you want to go to this race? You want to go to this race? Until he has a full trailer, and then he splits gas with people. So it's not so bad.
That kind of makes sense. I mean, other than the investment of the truck, but the rest of it kind of makes sense.
He hauled 3 cars out to PPIR when we went out there for Grid Life, and now we're going to NOLA for another Grid Life. We'll meet Dusty down there. So
yeah, he's
what did he buy for a truck to pull a stacker?
A 2020 3500 HD dually
Ram
High Country.
No, a High Country, a Chevy.
I got you.
So yeah, it's way more over. I mean, it's got the trailer's not light, but the truck's got plenty of head space on it, towing capacity wise. So it's a ridiculous thing, though. It's got a lift inside of it. It's out of control. It's awesome.
That is pretty awesome. Robbie, didn't you buy a truck?
Yeah, I did. I got an 18 Silverado max trailering, so I can turn around and sell my trailer and get it enclosed finally. You know, assuming I have money ever again. Yeah,
I was going to say, that doesn't sound very Robbie to buy a 2018 vehicle of any kind. Does it have 350,000 miles on it? Or?
No, it only has 60,000 miles, thank you.
What in the hell?
So it's got to be like the lowest mileage vehicle you've ever owned.
He's a completely different person all of a sudden.
Well, it was I had the Avalanche, and like I drove to Hallett and back, and like so I was driving down to Hallett, and my oil pressures basically dropped down to like 10 on the interstate.
Oh, that's bad.
Pulling the trailer at like 70 miles an hour. I was like, as long as I keep the engine above 1,000 RPMs, it has enough pressure to not grenade itself. But that's not really a great way to drive a truck. So I thought maybe I had just cashed out the oil. So I did an oil change at the track, and that kept my pressures good for like 30 minutes. And then as soon as it got like truly up to temperature, it just plummeted again. So by the time I got back to Des Moines, it was like super late on Sunday night after Hallett, and I'm talking to Jess. I'm like, I can't tow with this vehicle ever again. Like it can drive to and from work. Oil pressures are strong. I feel confident in that. I'm not worried about that. But for some reason, like I don't know if it like heat soaked the engine and like the tolerances are all crap because I had all the issues the year before, and it just kind of wore through like the bearings and whatnot. And just I'm making a lot of assumptions, obviously, but. I was talking to Jess. I'm like, if we're gonna keep doing this, I'm gonna need something I can rely on. And she goes, well, I'm fine with getting a payment with it, for a nice truck. So then I tried to find a max trailering pickup, and they didn't really make a lot of these. So like I searched for a while, and this was in Mitchell, South Dakota, and I bought it over 4th of July weekend. Traded the Avalanche in on it. And
didn't even make it home before it had to go back to the dealership.
I didn't even make it out of the city. I made it.
What?
So I took it out for a test drive, brought it back, did all the paperwork, took off, stopped at the gas station to grab like drinks and whatnot before we head back from Mitchell back to like Sioux Falls. And I'm sitting there watching 2 cops mess with this homeless guy that was clearly shit-faced drunk, and Jess is in the store getting supplies. So by the time I get done watching that and Jess gets back, all of a sudden my check engine light starts blinking at me, and the whole truck's just like shaking. I'm like, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. So I drove it back to the dealership and went right back into where I just bought it from the guy. I was like, so how about that 6,000 mile warranty? How good is that? And so they're like, well, we can't give you your Avalanche back because we already sold it to the auction. I'd seriously been gone like 30 minutes. I was like, well, that's good because I don't want to drive it back. So that worked out for everybody. So they let me take a 2012 Sierra back to Des Moines which really worked out because I drug my dad's skid loader back to Des Moines with it as well. And the Avalanche was definitely not going to do that.
Sweet.
So I got the truck a week later after they replaced the coil pack, or one coil pack, then did and tested all the other coil packs. But yeah, it was a whole deal, but it's been rock solid ever since. I've never had any issues with it.
I can attest that it's great. We rode together out to Colorado Springs for Alpine Horizon Festival, and it was great. Just cruised right along, no problem at all. So,
yep.
What's max trailering? I mean, I can kind of read between the lines and figure that out, but
yeah. So this truck specifically was custom ordered by one of the guys that is a regular from that dealership out in Mitchell. God, I can't speak tonight. So it's a crew cab standard box. So it's a 6.5 foot box, max trailering. So it got like different gearing and I think different suspension, or at least stiffer suspension, it feels like. And it takes what is normally a 9,800 pound rating up to 11,700. So yeah, it's not exactly the best daily driver because it's kind of long and big. And when they put new tires on it before I bought it, they got their aspect ratio wrong, so they rub. So that's annoying. So I'll be in a parking lot in West Des Moines, like everyone's looking at me like, "What the fuck is that idiot doing?" It's fine. It's fine. It's just the wheel well. It's fine.
And of course, you are on full lock because it's so long. You don't have any choice. You're gonna run into somebody's Prius.
Yep, and it's twice as loud backing up for like just the way it catches it. It's so bad.
That's ridiculous.
But it's a wonderful truck, and it was very expensive. I admit that.
Yeah,
but
we got leather in the whole deal.
Yes, because he like
plush.
The guy went through and like just picked what he wanted. So it was like leather heated seats, like the backup camera because it's standard, no backup sensors, no assists, no like anything. So it's just like everything exactly what I would have wanted. It just perfect on like none of the extra nannies and none of the extra crap. So the Avalanche was actually more loaded because it had like the TV and all that other stuff in it.
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of all that stuff. Like when I think about replacing, I still have the Genesis, and when I think about replacing that, I kind of just go, I don't really want to. Like it rides that fine line of not having a bunch of stuff in it that's going to fail.
Yep.
And I feel like if I go and replace it with something newer, it's going to have like a whole bunch of touch screens and crap in it that are all going to go to shit in like 5 years. Mm-hmm. And that kind of, I don't know, that kind of weirds me out. I don't like the idea of that. So I kind of like the idea of trying to put a stupid amount of miles on the Genesis till like it's completely worthless and then be forced into doing something different. Yeah.
No, this has the small screen. It's got it's touch screen, but it's small, just like the Avalanche was. It doesn't have any of the extra crap. But the worst thing about it was that the last time I went and visited Jess's parents, I went down because like she got inducted to her high school Hall of Fame. So she went down early and then had like the parade and all that crap. So I worked and then went down Friday after work. Got there, we do the ceremony and stuff. Leave basically first thing Saturday morning. Hop in the truck, and my XM had expired. So I had to drive 2.5 hours through Missouri with nothing, like no music, no podcast, nothing. I was so disappointed.
Can you just plug a cord in?
It's Bluetooth. But I had no reception to like listen to things. So I'm just like listening to FM country. It's not even just country. It was like church sermons.
I was saying gospel mixed in with some country music.
Yep. Yeah. So that was the worst experience I've had in that truck so far.
So you're not going to re-up the XM then? You're out?
I thought about it until I looked at what it costs per month, and I'm like, I don't love it that much.
Yeah, it's got
so
it,
expensive,
and I pay for it for my car and her car, and it is really expensive. But every time I get in my work truck and it's FM, it just drives me absolutely batty because it seems like it's just all commercial.
Oh,
so I think if you don't get, I think that's obviously how they figured out how to hook a bunch of people is they give it to you for free for a while. If you don't listen to it, you're fine. But it's once you get exposed to it and then you don't have it, you feel like you're missing out.
Which you definitely
don't
are.
have XM, don't get it.
It's great, but my God, is it expensive. It's like getting cable television or satellite television. It's great when you have it, but my God, is it expensive.
Yeah, it's exactly like satellite. That's exactly what it's like. So, and I don't have that, so that's my excuse.
Yep, no cable for me anymore. I cut that last year. That was my part of my birthday, or one of my presents to Jess for her birthday was that we got rid of satellite.
I got my brand new truck at work, and they were like, "It's got XM if you want it, but company doesn't pay for it. You have to." And I was like, "No,
no, thank you. I'm good, thanks.
You can keep that." I was like, "It's got an auxiliary input of some sort on it." Yep, it's got Bluetooth because it's got the fancy radio in it. Like, yep, don't need any of that. Then you just let that expire because I guess you get 3 free months or something like that.
Yep.
Of that and the Wi-Fi, which I don't really understand why anybody needs that in a vehicle still. But
I have it and it connects, but I can't get it to like do anything because it was part of that free 3 months with this XM,
right?
But it didn't work. Now I need to figure out I need to shut it off because it keeps like I start the car and then it dings at me like Wi-Fi connected. So I'll use this.
I just don't understand it. Like what?
I have a cell phone. Yeah. Whatever.
Yep. I don't know.
So yeah, I got we haven't even talked about this on the podcast yet, but I got a 2020 3/4 ton long box crew cab for work.
So you're like a solid 1.5 feet longer than my truck.
It is the world. And it's, dude, I think so. I was parked next to one of these with my Blazer, at Fairway here like a couple weeks ago, and the top of the bed is almost even with the top of my fucking Blazer. Why are they so tall? I know we've gone over this like a million times, but I hate it so much. And I went into I haven't actually drove this truck yet, the work truck, because it's got to get stickered up and we got to put the GPS system in it. Because we have like an OBD2 GPS system that like lets not only can they keep track of where I am and whatever, which I don't care about because I'm not doing anything they need to, but it also like notifies our mechanics when it needs oil changes, or like if a check engine light comes on, they'll get an email notification and then they can look at what the check engine light code is and decide whether it needs dealt with immediately or not. And so like it gives our mechanics the ability to kind of be able to like be proactive on fixing our trucks without me having to let them know and chase after them, which is really sweet. But we bought this. It's basically like a camper, like a pickup bed camper, except for fiber splicing that goes in the back of the bed. And that's supposed to be delivered next week. So until that gets here, I don't have any use for the truck itself. So
the box truck's gone, or you're not going to have the box truck?
The box truck will be thrown away. It's doing a similar thing to Robbie's Avalanche with the oil pressure, and it consumes about a gallon of coolant every 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, so head gaskets are totally fine. There's no issues there at all.
Yeah, and so I found there's an hour meter in there. I found an hour meter in the menus, and it's got like 9,300 operating hours on it or something like that. And then I Googled around and I found like what's the average speed of vehicle travels through its lifetime. And if you translate that number of hours into miles traveled, it's got like almost 700,000 miles worth of engine time on it. So yeah, It's shot. It's got almost 220 actual miles on it. 220,000.
Yeah, you got
a 6-liter in there.
It's a 6.0, yeah. So you can tell it's tired. Like it does not have the power it used to, and it's just I lost a water pump on it about a year ago and overheated it real bad, and it still runs fine, But clearly it's got a problem because it consumes that coolant, and it's slowly gotten worse since then. It doesn't smoke like it's not white coming out of the exhaust or anything like that. So I don't know, but yeah, so it's going away, and I've got this sweet new whip coming instead. So I'm excited about that.
You're gonna be so spoiled.
Oh, dude, I'm so pumped. I'm gonna have cruise control. It's gonna be the best. So, because I don't have cruise control in my daily anymore either, and it sucks. Because I don't this is the opener, by the way. We were going to talk about things that have changed or whatever since Michael departed us for a while. But in probably March, I bought a Cavalier.
Yeah, there you go, buddy.
From Josh Fettis. I bought that one that he had found that was surprisingly rust free.
Is that a manual or an automatic?
It is a 5-speed.
Is it? There you go.
Is the most optionless bone stock thing ever. No cruise. It has a tack, but he had to change out the cluster to get it. He bought when he bought it originally, I think the engine was on its way out, so he bought a parts car and put that engine in it. It has the transmission out of the parts car also, because the transmission that was in it grinded really bad, like into second or third, and this one grinds into fifth. But that's less annoying than grinding into a lower gear, you know?
Yep.
So he gave me a whole bunch of parts with it, and he gave me a whole bunch of other stuff, and yeah, it's been my much more affordable daily since then. So
yeah, I was gonna say that's way more reasonable to drive back and forth to work than the Blazer.
Yeah, it's about the same like gas tank capacity, but I fill it up half as often.
Yep, that sounds about right.
So it's on the passenger side, the fill up is, which I despise. And I fill it up so little as compared to what I was used to with the Blazer that I like continuously forgot for like 3 months. And I would pull up to a gas pump and I'd get out and be like, fuck. And I'd have to jump back in and spin around to a different gas pump to get it on the passenger side, because every time I would forget. So it took me like 3 months to finally like consistently remember, and I still forget from time to time. So yeah. But yeah, I'm back in the Cavalier life again. I will begrudgingly admit that there was definitely some nostalgia involved in my love for it. I don't hate the car by any stretch. I think it's a great car, but it does definitely lack some creature comforts I wish it did have, namely cruise.
And that
one I could understand. Does it have air conditioning?
It does. I'll probably have to fill it up every year, which it's a 20-year-old car, so it is what it is. But I filled it up once in the spring, and it worked all the way through the summer just fine. And it's got good heat. It's fine for that. So, yeah, it's the perfect, like, I just don't care beater work car, because there's a lot of days where I come home muddy and dirty, and I just don't care about it, and it's great. So he gave me all the spare parts, and I don't have anywhere to put them, so they're still in it.
Sweet.
So like the trunk is just full of random parts, and the back seat's got some parts in it still. It had tires in it, which I finally took out. But for like a couple of months, I was driving it with tires in the back of it. So that was kind of funny, but yeah. So I could do spec LUTs if I wanted to. You could be the pioneer. I could. So like one of the very first couple of days I had it, I drove home through like the more fun route that was kind of similar to that route we followed when we went to Colo, however long ago, and it didn't take long, even at reasonable street speeds and not pushing it that hard, to really cook those brakes. So I don't know about that, maybe it's not track ready. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Does EBC make some pads for that or something? I don't know. I
bet G-Lock does.
God, G-Lock makes pads for everything. You'd think G-Lock would have some pads.
If they don't, you can send them the blanks and they'll make you a pad.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's sick.
I don't know.
They absolutely will.
I can't remember who did it, but I know somebody did it recently.
That's my intention when the Omni one go out, because the ones that are on the Omni were custom made for it by Carbotech, and I don't want to go through that. I'll just go through G-Lock.
Yeah, for sure.
So, speaking of that, I finally did buy all the parts to fix it, but thanks to COVID ruining our year, I never actually bothered to get it running. So, I'm about 75% certain that if I bought a battery, it would run. But I just don't care enough because it hasn't been registered. It's not insured. And so I was like, and I finally got all these parts in like a month or so ago, and we had one DMVR event left. And I was like, man, it needs aligned and all this stuff. Like, I'm not going to go through all this crap to take it to one event and like drive it to work twice. Like, I'm just not going to do that. So it should be ready for the spring. That's kind of where I'm at on it. So
I did go through that to go to Lake Garnett, which we can talk about a little bit later. But yeah. I think I needed that because once COVID started, because at the beginning of the year, I've got an engine stand with a Fiat engine on it and an engine stand with an RX-7 engine on it, and they're literally done. Like, they just need to go in the cars, which is obviously never that easy. They don't just go in, and unless, you're Ben could probably pull that off, but for the rest of us, or Luke.
Yeah, Luke.
Yeah.
But for the rest of us, we end up having to do a bunch of dicking around because we screwed something up or installed something wrong. But so you just kind of look at that stuff and you're like, well, there's not really anywhere to go. So am I going to work on this? And you're like, no, I'm not. I'm going to sit at home and not do anything. So, but when they said they were going to keep Lake Garnett on, I was like, all right, we need to get one of these cars with an engine in it and make it work so that at least that's done with. So the Fiat's running again, but we can talk about that a little bit more later. And then I've still got the Porsche. I didn't sell that. And it's been by far the least reliable vehicle I've ever owned. I've had to get a $90.
Oh, no.
I've had to get a $90 headlight switch, and that's it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
God damn it, that's kind of upsetting. Like, I'm super happy for you, but it's kind of upsetting.
I know, like I'm honestly, I am waiting for something more serious. I think it needs struts. I haven't looked at it that closely, but all the other stuff that I've looked at, like brakes and on and on and on, everything else looks fine. The struts I am pretty sure are original, so I'm sure they need to be replaced. But yeah, like everything works. I don't have any issues with anything. It doesn't do anything weird. Like, maybe we were wrong. Maybe German cars are reliable. All the Europeans say that German cars are reliable, and then all the Americans say that they're complete hunks of shit and they break all the time. But
I will never agree to that.
Yeah, so his Audi will completely back up the claim that they don't work.
Well, I had that Golf in my Audi, and they were both crap. So,
well, see, here's the thing. Like, I know lots of people who have had TTs just like mine and had great luck with them. And I don't know. I think I got a Friday car, like the Friday before a long holiday weekend. Like the last one that rolled off this, like, we got to finish this car to make our quota for the week. And then we got a 4-day weekend after this. Let's just fucking throw this hunk of shit together and get it off the line. I'm convinced that's what's happened to my car.
I don't know, man, because my Audi was horrible. I don't think I talked about this on the show, but it lost reverse at one point. And I don't know what we had to do to fix that. But we did fix it ourselves. But like reverse just stopped working. Like, okay, that sounds great. Thanks. And
just put it in neutral and push it out of the spot.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I was doing for a couple of days. And then
gross.
The VR6 had tons and tons of map sensors, just like yours did. So I don't know. And my VW was a 2004, so it wasn't like, they're only 1 year apart from one another.
See, like, so now there's companies like FCP Euro, and they have lifetime warranty on our parts for those cars. Like, no matter what it is, what happened to it, what went wrong with it, if you broke it yourself, they'll ship you a new one.
You can send your oil back.
Yeah. And then like there's some people that make plug and play adapters to go from the coil on plug setup that's on the Audi from the factory to an LS coil that's coil near plug. And like people say that you buy that and it costs you whatever, $150 for the whole setup or whatever it costs. I don't know. And then like you never touch your coils ever again. And you just fix some vacuum line issues that the car has from the factory, and you change out a few factory parts with some Forge performance parts, and you buy everything else from FCP Euro, and the car's rock solid. And like, so I'm certain that like, if you have a $6,000 budget and you want to buy a TT, you buy a $4,000 TT, put $2,000 worth of work into it, fix all those stupid little problems, you'll never touch it again. Routine maintenance after that.
Yeah, I haven't tested that FCP Euro thing. I thought about it for oil. I honestly did, because I read the fine print, and I think the only thing you can't send back is aerosol cans. That's literally like the only exception is aerosol cans.
That makes sense.
So yeah, I mean,
so they'll like full on replace your oil?
They'll replace your oil and your filter unless it's changed or I misunderstood something. Like if you buy your oil from that,
money.
I don't know. You have to keep all the original packaging though, and then I think you have to figure out how to get it back to them. And I don't really want to ship oil back to them. That doesn't sound like a cheap thing to do.
No, that's probably not worth it.
They probably know that.
But, yeah, and the filters are those cartridge filters, so they're like $10. So that's not really worth it.
Locals are over there like, this is great. Never paying for another oil change in my life.
Yeah. But their stuff is like you pay retail for that. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's not the cheapest stuff on the street. But, you know, if you are racing and you're using brake pads and you're running through brake pads regularly or rotors or whatever, I mean, yeah, you should probably do that because, you know, you're going to come out ahead after changing them twice or whatever. Like even if you have to pay a little more for them, you're going to be in a good spot. So I don't know. I haven't found the right part yet or I really haven't had to order any parts. So
it's like I said, I'm super happy for you, but it's really kind of
also really annoying. I've had it for a year and a half now.
Yeah. Hard to believe. You drive it pretty regularly?
I do, but only around town. So I really haven't put that many miles on it this year.
Right.
Because last year
I can't go anywhere.
I can't go anywhere. I took it on a couple road trips last year, but
like down to the lake house and stuff.
Yeah, I went down to Kansas City and did that deal. But yeah, like there's nowhere to go, so it's got like no miles on it.
Do you still like refuse to drive it to work for fear of being that guy?
Yeah, for sure. I still don't think it's a good look. Like I think it's more like my own self-consciousness about it. I don't think like
I kind of understand where you're coming from that though. Like, you know, in your professional situation, which we don't need to get into too much, but yeah, I get where you're kind of like, I'm kind of newish. I'm real, you know, kind of young. Like that seems a little bit, you know.
Well, he's not even 30 yet. And he's rolling around in a Porsche.
No, I'm 31 now. I did buy it at 29, but I'm 31 now. Damn it, Robbie! I can do stuff like that because I'm an old man.
Yeah, you broke 30.
Yeah.
We'll call it midlife.
Yeah, I'm having my midlife crisis. But, you know, like the reality of the situation was like when Blair and I first started dating and I didn't tell her I flew to Detroit to buy a car, she thought it was like a $60,000 car. So it's like really hard to tell what.
Well, that's what, I mean, people just assume a 911 is a very expensive car.
Yeah.
And some of them are.
Yep.
Even some of them in your generation of 911.
Yeah, the turbos and the anniversary editions and stuff like that. They can be pretty good money.
Yeah.
So
you can probably get a $60,000 one.
Yeah. Yeah, the turbos.
I can see where that can be a little misleading.
How long did she think it was a $60,000 car?
I think for a long time because I didn't. She didn't ask.
So you didn't know?
I didn't know, but it was like I think it was like a number of months later.
When she found out, did she like it more or less?
More, I think.
Yeah.
Well, because first of
Was
all,
she less annoyed by the fact that you had it then?
this is gonna definitely follow me to my grave. This car, because even if the car's gone, because we had just first really started dating, and I thought for sure that I could sneak it by that I had that car before, and
Well, didn't
like literally talk to her the day that I was flying to Detroit and didn't mention it. Like, yeah, I'm in Detroit right now, and just didn't say anything about it.
Well, didn't you drove it back, and then didn't you take it to like a family thing with her? Like the first time she saw it, wasn't I thought there was something that had to do with like, or you didn't bring it because you were worried about what her family would think.
Oh no, I don't think.
For some reason I'm remembering that for some reason that there was something to do with that.
There might have been something. I'm not remembering that for some reason. I did leave it in the garage for a while because the Camaro was in there before. And I don't know. She thought it was a $60,000 car too. So I kind of thought that I could float blue car for blue car and it would be fine. Like nobody would I don't know. Nobody would say anything. And I think that went on for a couple of weeks where I just didn't really plan on bringing it up.
Oh, this old thing?
That was there before. That was for sure there before you went
just keep that at my parents' house sometimes. It just kind of switches in and out.
That's the lake house vehicle. That's the lake house.
The lake house. Yeah, it's been at the lake. But so yeah, it's been fun. I thought about taking it to Lake Garnett. I did have like a moment where we were fiddling around with something on the Fiat, and I was like, yeah, I remember this, trying to bang shit together so you can go racing thing. I was like, maybe we should just put the Porsche in the trailer. And
is that accepted there?
Yeah, you can bring in newer stuff. You end up in a different class. Like they group you by year.
I thought it was just old cars.
I think that they changed that 2 or 3 years ago, and I don't know that of course the vintage guys, I don't think we're real thrilled about that, but I'm sure that the organization and the charity appreciate it because it's like twice as many cars, if not more than that. So they do different heats. There's 2 days of racing. The first day is autocross for half a day. And then the second half of the day is like a car show and like charity runs and a little bit of racing. And then Sunday's the day that they do like all day track day stuff. And they break you up into groups based on top speed and then year. So like I was in group B, which was the 80 mile an hour class. And then I was like B1 because I was pre 75. So there's us in the pre 75 class, and then there's the post 75 class, and those guys they run right after us, and then they go into the 100 mile an hour class, and in the mix of that, they've got vintage, like true vintage race car, like not Grand Prix. What am I thinking? Trans Am cars, like that level of car. Didn't actually see any Trans Ams or Camaros. They were like all Mustangs, but oh well.
Yeah, I thought that was
I thought that was weird too. There was a lot of like 1970 Mustangs.
I can't believe there's not a Camaro in there. Like, you can't go to any event without having an old Camaro at it.
Nope.
I mean, Dusty tries to make sure of that.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that. And those guys, that's like a separate organization that I think in some way is a little bit tied to SCCA. I don't know if they use some of their insurance or what exactly, but they're like a separate body of wheel-to-wheel vintage race cars, which sounds kind of cool and like kind of like stupidly expensive at the same time, and like maybe a little too serious. Like I don't know if it would be like a ton of fun or if it would just be like these guys just have a shitload of money and I'm definitely the poor person here and like I don't want to run into any of their cars. But I don't know. It's something I'm going to look into a little bit. I'd like to do next year, now that the car's put together, I would like to do some more time trial stuff. I don't know that I necessarily do it regularly, but do some track days and kind of get some more seat time again, which I would need anyway because you have to be licensed to run with those guys.
Robbie made the poor decision of deciding that he's going to go ahead and cage the 350Z with the long-term goal of running a GLTC.
That boy.
So that means he has to go to all of his TT events and all of the grid life events. So, I mean, chances are if you want to go to a track day, Robbie's probably already there.
Yeah. And I don't know if you saw or heard, but I'm also on an endurance team for WRL with a 944 Porsche.
That a boy.
So this is still a Porsche podcast.
So this is very much a Porsche podcast. Yeah, so we were talking about, so like I'm the time trials director for DMVR, so I have to be at every mid-iv of TT event that I can be at. We're going to planning to do 3 WRL races. Obviously I'm building the Z for Grid Life, and I still have the 240, and I'm supposed to do 1 lap with Bill next year.
Oh yeah.
And looking at the schedule, 1 lap starts May 1st through May 8th. The first event at WRL is at Road America, May 8 through May 10. I've already told Jess, you're not going to see me from May 1st to May 10th, because my plan is to do 1 lap and then on the way home, go up to Wisconsin and do Road America 8th, 9th, and 10th, or at least the 9th and the 10th. I don't know what the schedule is.
Are you going to drive, or are you just going to be there?
I'm hoping I can hot shoe it, or I can just show up and drive.
Oh, yeah.
Help him fix anything that needs to be fixed, and then...
Fuck yeah, arrive and drive life.
Yep. So I haven't mentioned this to the team yet, but that's like just looking at the schedule.
Oh, that's the WRL race.
Yes.
Oh, crap. That's all right.
Which would be the first WRL race, assuming the car's ready. But yeah, it's a...
Which may or may not be a slightly large assumption. I mean,
it's got
a long ways to go.
It better not be a large assumption. It's got a long time to get there.
That's true.
That's
Is
May.
it coming to your house?
As soon as Booney's done with the cage. And that's... Yeah, so we're kind of bouncing all over the place.
Booney's not driving this car, is he?
No. That's ZR3 racing. We're missed Apex racing. Much worse driving.
Who is on this list of supposedly worst drivers?
So this is all the guys from like mid of TT. So it'd be Eric Paulsgraf, Matt Thompson, Nicola. Now I'm going to butcher last names. Lucheski, Mel Eward, and Adam Pacetto, and me. Okay. So yeah, we got the car got dropped off at Booney's last week or the week before, and then right now it has a cage in it, but it's not technically legal by WRL standards right now because you can't do NASCAR bars anymore if it's not a continuous radius. So like if it's an S bend, it's illegal. And ours has a very, very small S bend in the door bars.
Really?
Yep. So we sent so Booney sent them pictures and clarification on it's just the way the hoop is right behind the driver's seat. It's like just far enough behind the pillar that you can't have a continuous radius, but it's so minimal. So like we're hoping we can get some sort of leniency on it because everyone else is very adamant that we need some sort of NASCAR bars because apparently the skinny guy doesn't get a say in this.
Oh, weird. Weird.
But so once we hear back from WRL, we'll finish the cage on the 944, and then as soon as that's dropped off at my place, the Z gets brought over to Booney's for the cage.
So to give you an idea of how race car this thing is, Michael, it has a one-piece lift-off front end.
Bumper, hood, and
bumpers, fenders, hood, all one piece.
Which would be very, very expensive and a gigantic pain in the ass if it gets touched by anything.
Well, isn't that kind of the endurance racing lifestyle, though, lightly crashing into shit? Not necessarily ruining things.
No. We'll put Band-Aids on it, like with the rest of my cars. But yeah, it's a wide-bodied 944, and that's weird. It's so good.
It's pretty dope, dude. It's pretty cool.
Yep. So that'll be at my place. We got the 240, the Z, and the 944 will be all at my place at once. But I got that lift, so I can fit everything now.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
just a 2-post.
No, it's a 4-post.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
I got it.
He got a free.
I got it for free.
Post.
I got it for free.
Oh, Jesus!
Right?
It's 30 years old, and I can see why they gave it away. The more I use it, because the seals are not great and the motor's not strong, and so it's got I just put in some of that that reseal stuff to kind of help stop the bleeding. So yeah, I mean it functions fine, but it's clearly not lifting at the capacity that it did when it was new, because like the edge apparently is too heavy. I learned that on Saturday.
Oh, that's kind of a bum deal.
So, but it lifts all the race cars, so it seems like anything that's like 3,500 pounds or less, it has no problem. But once you get to like almost 6,000 pounds, it's too much. But
aren't all those motors and stuff replaceable though? Like,
yeah,
can you replace that motor?
I can replace the motor, and the whole mechanism is not bad. That's like $200. So I'll probably do that. But the issue is the big cylinder.
Mm-hmm.
It's so the seals are bad in there, so it squirts out fluid out of the vent hole once you get to the top, which isn't, it's not the end of the world. But to replace that, if you can find it, it's $1,600.
Oh, sweet.
So
you're basically buying a new lift at that point.
So I can see why he didn't fix it and just gave it away. But so I'm hoping that reseal will kind of make it so that it functions without squirting fluid all over the place. It seems to have helped, because I poured it in last weekend, and then I've cycled it a few times, and even now it doesn't do it near as much as it did even just 2 days ago. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so I'm super pumped about. Yeah, super pumped about getting into wheel to wheel. That's for sure.
Dude, you're going to be like racing every single weekend next year.
Maybe twice a weekend, even.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't tell my wife. But yeah, it's I got like a schedule all set up, and I can roll over 40 hours of vacation from this year, because obviously I didn't use it all. And then I have like my regular vacation, so I'm looking at like, assuming, let's just say 8 events for mid-iv, or 6 events for 6 weekends for mid-iv TT, plus some grid life events, plus 3 for WRL, plus 1 lap. It's like, there's my vacation. all claimed already. So with Jess in school, it kind of works out though, because we won't have time for any vacations or anything.
Yeah. That's pretty sweet though. I'm still not as committed as you are.
Yeah. Well, you weren't part of the conversations, but I've been talked into keeping the 240. That's how serious I am about this.
He was
really?
He was entertaining selling the 240, which I was like, dude, no. And so Robbie and I are in like 6 different group chats that have a combination of like 10 different people in each one. Mm-hmm. But that particular one, if I remember right, was the one with Dusty and Dalton.
Yes.
And everybody was like, nah, dude, you can't do that.
It's when I look at what I want to do in the next year or two, it's very tempting for me to consider it, because I can sell that and the trailer, completely fund the Z and get it exactly where I want it by spring, and then also have an enclosed trailer for next year.
Yeah.
And it's so when I put it that way, it's like, oh, and then I have money set aside for 1 lap, and I don't have to budget for as much as I do now, and I don't have to penny pinch as bad as I will next year.
Yep.
So it gets more tempting, but God, I would miss it. I mean, there's no denying that. I love that car. So it's, yeah, I would definitely.
I get it, dude. Like when we were having some issues with the water pump belt on the Fiat at the event a couple weekends ago, and there was like a serious point where I wasn't mad, like I wasn't upset, but I was like, do I really want to do this old race car thing? And I was like, and I asked my dad, I was like, you want to just sell all this shit and buy a C5? Like, you want to just be done with this? Like, literally, we'll just go get a C5. We'll put, the roll bar in the back. We'll put some decent seats in it, put an exhaust on it, and then don't screw with it. And yep. I'm like, we'd probably break even. I don't know. It doesn't sound so bad, but
no. And every time no, you go.
He's built like one hell of an engine that it's not even, I don't even think it's at its full potential, which is super crazy. I mean, there were people at the event. Granted, I didn't have a muffler, but there were people at the event coming up and they're like, what the hell's in that car? And it's like, it's just a 2-liter Fiat engine. It just is stupidly loud, and it actually is pretty fast.
Is it quite a bit different?
Oh yeah, it's way different. Like,
yeah.
It's torquey. I mean, like, you can stay in a gear and it doesn't feel like it really hurts you. And I was chickening out at like 7,000, but the motor wasn't done. Like it was, but like you're in your mind, you're like, dude, you got to shift, especially when it didn't have a muffler on it. Like the whole car is shaking. Like you have to shift at this point, but it was still pulling all the way up through there. And I don't know. And that was like with a really basic tune. Like I think he changed the jets on it once. Like I think he went down a set of jets to lean it out, and then that was it. So there's been like no time put into that motor trying to really dial it in. And the head that he has on it right now, which is probably the head we'll leave on it, but it's not even the highest compression head that we have. So
that's so awesome though that it's working like that.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. And we got that water pump issue dialed in because it's a Fiat. At some point in its history, the Italians decided, no, let's make a water pump that's like a millimeter longer than the water pumps that we have been making. And we ended up with that one. And so the belt was not really aligned. And when you got up by wherever the red line is, it would kick the belt off. It'd grab the edge of the belt and kick it off. So should have that fixed now.
That's good.
Is this the motor that's kind of built with the idea of maybe putting some boost in it?
Yep. You could boost this motor. You'd have it'd be like a V8 killer if you boosted it. I mean, it's fast. It's legitimately fast.
It's
awesome. Not RX-7 with a V8 fast, but it's like that car is faster than it rightfully should be, all things considered. So it's pretty sweet. It's cool. I got third in the autocross.
Hell yeah.
There's two classes.
Okay.
The under 3 liter class and the over 3 liter class. Doesn't matter if you have a supercharger, turbocharger, all-wheel drive. None of that shit matters. So I lost to a GTR and a Supra.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
I beat a Bug-Eye Sprite race car. I mean, no windshield race car on Avons, and I have a set of Federal 450 treadwear tires on it.
Oh my gosh.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So all that drifty boy stuff was coming in handy then, I take it.
I think that was like 25% driver, mostly mechanic, because it did exactly what it was supposed to do during the autocross. The only time it gave us any issues was on the track, and we got that figured out. It was just that belt. That was the only thing that was causing us problems. But that shuts your lap down pretty quick when you lose your water pump. So, but really not a big deal.
You did that when we were at TT National Tour, right?
Heartland Park, yeah.
That happened to you?
Yeah, I did lose the water pump at some point. Yeah, it did blow a belt off, didn't it?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Too. I don't know if that was the wrong water pump too. I have no idea. But yeah, it makes probably double the horsepower we did at TT Nationals. That thing was pretty sick at that point. So,
yeah,
that would be so much fun.
Yeah, it's good. We'll kind of get it dialed in a little bit more next year, and it'll be fun to do a few more events with it. I do want to put the RX-7 engine in and probably get that diff rebuilt, and I'd like to do some time trials with that too and kind of see if that's better or worse, or I don't know.
Have you seen that they're doing drift events at Hawkeye Downs now?
I did see that because I was talking to Zach Burke the other day, and he said that it was actually pretty fun out there.
Yeah, they looked like they were really. I mean, they looked like they were really enjoying themselves. That it seemed like that was. I was always surprised that nobody ever did that there, and for whatever reason they didn't. And someone finally decided, let's do this, and it seemed to go really well. They had really good turnouts, and it seemed like everyone was having a good time. It looked like a lot of fun. There was some real decent speed. I mean, it wasn't slow.
Mm-hmm.
And then, they got walls they were riding and stuff like that. It looked like a good time.
Yeah, I've got kind of mixed feelings about that because I really would like to drift. I just think for like an amateur, it's too much to try to do both and maintain the cars. Like you got to choose a lane to be in, but it seems senseless to have a car with an engine that's ready to go and not put it in there. So I need to at least run that car a couple times next year at a track day and see what I think about it. See if I want to keep it. I want to do something different. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to have it sit as a roller for right now when you've got the parts, or you've got most of the parts. So I don't know. We'll see.
It would make a great mid-of TT car. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think it actually would, which is a little bit annoying, but that's the thing is, like, do you want to just make V8 noises and go really fast, or do you want to do, kind of vintage race car Fiat stuff? I don't know. That's why it would be fun to maybe do that vintage racing league, but it may be just too serious for what I want to do, really.
No, that makes sense.
I think it might be worth going and checking one out. Like, even if we don't bring a car, just go up there and check an event out and try and get a feel for the situation.
Yeah, there was, at this one, besides all the Mustangs and all that nonsense, there was, I think it's a Lotus, was it a 22B? Lotus 22B? Does that sound right? Hold on a second.
That sounds like the 22B is a Subaru.
23B? 23B. Yeah, Lotus 23B. Look that up, Robbie.
Sure.
You've never heard of such a thing.
Very, very affordable race car.
Is that some sarcasm?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And the guy had just bought it, and I don't know what it cost him, but I'm sure it was not cheap. It's got like a 1.6 liter Ford motor in it, I think. He said they dynoed it. They just gotten it built, and they dynoed it. It was 200 horsepower, and the car weighs less than 1,000 pounds, I think.
Yeah, it's a go-kart.
It's a go-kart with a 200 horsepower engine in it.
Good grief.
Yeah, curb weight 1,000 pounds.
In April of this year, one sold on Bring a Trailer for $80,000.
Oh, that's not as bad as I thought. I mean, that's still a chunk of change, but
it's an original, a 63. Yeah.
80. I was thinking, 200. So.
God, that driver looks freaking huge in it too. It's just
it looks super tiny.
It's such a tiny car.
I think I would look huge in it. I mean, it's so small. It's surprisingly small and looks totally sketchy. Like it's not sketchy, but at the same time, it's so small and it's so fast. It looks like if you did get in an accident, it would be bad.
Well, it's not like it has like a proper roll bar or anything. It just has like the hoop for the seat above your head, and that's it.
Yep.
Like the original Shelby Cobras. It's just like that one little bar over your head, and that's it.
And if you got into the dirt, you'd be screwed. Or anything like that. Yeah, he was talking about he could easily pass everybody, but he was trying to make sure that the Mustangs could see him, because that was the other problem. I think it's only 23 inches off the ground or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
That looks about right.
It's stupidly short. And he was just concerned that nobody could see him. And I think he's totally right about that. 26 inches.
It's like roughly the size of a Spec Racer Ford.
Yeah.
So this Bring a Trailer ad has pictures of it, like original from the 60s, pictures of this one racing. Mm-hmm. And here he's coming into the corner side by side with what looks to be like a 911. And those, I mean, a 60s 911 is a tiny car.
Mm-hmm.
That car looks giant compared to that Lotus.
It's crazy small.
It looks way wider maybe, but it's so short.
Yeah.
Like he's barely at the top of the wheel wells.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was super fun to see, and it was super fun to see somebody driving it hard. But yeah, he was kind of experimenting with it a little bit. He wasn't used to it, but yeah, he was still smoking everybody. He'd start at the back. I don't know how they were doing those races that day. I think it was maybe on Sunday it was just exhibition, and Saturday they were doing actual, wheel to wheel and doing placing. But he'd start at the back, and he would for sure be in the front by the time the 20-minute session was over. It was just a matter of he didn't want to get run over when he passed people. There was no if, it was just when he was going to get past somebody. So
how's the track?
The track's pretty sweet. It's really weird because when we pulled in there, it was dark because I had a work thing, and it kind of ran late, so we didn't get there till 7:30, I think. And of course now 7:30 is dark.
Right.
So you pull into what's basically like literally a park. Like think of going to, I mean, nothing even as exciting as Gray's Lake, but like a park. And you pull in there and you drive into the park, and all of a sudden you realize, no, wait, now I'm driving on the racetrack. Like there's no differentiation between this is a park road and now I'm on the racetrack. It's just, you end up on the racetrack at one point. So it was really hard to tell that at night. And so we came back the next morning, obviously, and you could see the way that the track's laid out. And, you know, during normal times of the year, it's, you know, a really beautiful park. I'm sure people use it all the time because it is a really awesome, like, centerpiece for that little town. But it as far as being a track, there are a lot of blind corners and a lot of like undulations in the road. I mean, that road kind of goes up and down and up and down, and it's not badly maintained, but it's not like race car track maintained. It's kind of bumpy in a few areas. There's a few areas where you can come down a hill. You come down one hill and you cross just a bridge, which I think is just a spillover for the lake, and you could just absolutely bottom the shit out of your car if you're not being careful or not, you know, you don't slow down. I didn't have that problem because we were limited at 80, but if you're really hauling down that hill, I think you could bottom out pretty bad. But yeah, so the only thing about that track that's weird is that when you get on the back straight, they do put in chicanes and then they put a speed limit in, because when you turn, I don't know what corner that is, what number it is, but at one point, once you go through the chicanes, you go through the speed limit section and you turn right, you cross like a stone bridge. Like it's got stone uprights and they're right on the road. So if you are not on the road, I mean, there's no like clipping the apex or going wide or anything. You're going to run into those stone uprights. So that area is 40 miles an hour. And then once you get past that, it goes back to green flag, but you've just got a permanent yellow section there where you've got to maintain 40 miles an hour. Other than that, it's pretty awesome. It's a great track. It's pretty long. It's 2.8 miles, I think. And yeah, it is really crazy coming, you know, apexing a corner. And if you look out in front of you, there's a lake. Like if you literally just went straight, there was a couple times when you're driving that track, if something went really, really, really wrong, like I didn't have brakes, I would be in the lake. I mean, it's a long way to get there, but you're going fast enough that you could potentially get there.
So I tried to see if there's a track map.
It's on the website.
All I can find is like real old ones.
Yeah.
Do you like drive over the dam and everything?
Yeah, I think the thing that I was talking about was actually the dam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because if you look at the track map, like you're going straight towards the lake, and then you take a left turn. That's called the chute, and then you go around to the corkscrew, according to the track map that's on the website, the lggpr.org.
Yeah, and that area is full speed. Everything there is good. It's that Richmond corner.
Oh, really?
That goes
then turning on to the dam.
Yep, that's the dam.
Okay.
So, but yeah, like the rest of the track, like this north bend, you are out of that area yellow and you're good to go. And all of this stuff over here is like just great track. There's tons of elevation changes. You've got just a bunch of really nice corners that there's nothing like weird, you know, that sets up or that upsets the balance of the car. The only thing that is interesting is this corkscrew, and that's kind of where all the spectators are. And it didn't seem like anybody really wanted to test their luck right there as far as push through that corkscrew. So I didn't get to go through that full speed ever. But I bet it would be a ton of fun if you got it right and you were able to kind of apex your way through those three corners there.
It looks like definitely probably the tightest part of the.
Yeah, and I think we could have all gone through that way faster, but they do have a parade lap to start. So you've got a safety car out there. One of the dealerships donates a Corvette, and they do a warm-up lap. So I've never done a start like that before. And it's fun, but you do kind of end up getting bunched up versus TT when they're waving the cars out, trying to get you guys kind of spaced. Plus you're out there with people that don't usually do track days. So it's not to say that they're not being safe, but they may not necessarily think about giving you some room, or like that it might be more fun if they had room. So I kind of got stuck in the middle of a group, and it was just kind of like, well, I got to, this is kind of the pace that we're going at. Not that it's not a bad pace. It's just if they were uncertain about something, like especially that corkscrew, it just slowed the whole group down. And they weren't blue flagging people, even though they said they were going to. So I don't know. It didn't really matter. It didn't make it less fun, but yeah, there's some areas of the track that would have been fun to try to kind of experiment with.
What's this cost?
It's not very much. I think the early bird, like one day, I think my total out of pocket was $150, and that was for the track day and the autocross and maybe something else. But it was right around $150 for 2 days, basically.
That's a good price.
I think if cheap.
I think they are running some like fun laps and stuff on Saturday now. So I think you could do 2 days of track time if you're okay with being in the 100-mile-an-hour class. And even then, I think you'd be like in the 160, 170, somewhere in there for 2 days.
Do you wish you would have done more than 80? Like, if you went back next year, do you think you'd do the 100-mile-an-hour class, or is that just too fast?
Well,
for your car, because I think you maybe were not expecting it to be as fast as it was. Or do you wish you would have gone with the faster class?
I don't know. I don't know if I was comfortable enough with the car, but I will tell you that Welda corner right there, basically on the other side of that, I was already at 80. So that whole Santa Fe straight, that was basically me doing 80. And even this clubhouse bend, when I came towards what's the start finish, which is not really where they bring you in and out of the track. It's kind of in that area, but I was even there. I was at the speed limit. So yeah, I think that car would definitely do 100 miles an hour. And I don't think it would be bad, especially if I was with a bunch of Prix 75 cars. I don't think that I would have an issue, but I didn't quite have the confidence in the car.
Right. That I get. I just didn't know, like, say I wanted to do it, like where do I class?
I would do 80. I think 80 is a good starting point, even for somebody that's got a fast car, because there still are some weird spots in the track where it can upset the car because it's not really a racetrack anymore.
Right. That makes sense.
There was some weird incident on Saturday, I guess, because there were two guys in my class on Sunday that said there were two Cobras out on Saturday, guys that didn't have much track experience, and they came over a crest of a hill, and these two one of the Cobras, I think, had spun out somehow, and the other one had decided that the right move was to slam on his brakes.
And slid into him?
No, he didn't. I don't know. He was just concerned about what happened to his buddy, and he slammed on his brakes. He wasn't going to run into him. So the guy that I was talking to had a Porsche 356, so that sounds like a cheap car. He came over the hill, and he was looking down the hill, and there's a Cobra in the grass, and there's one stopped on the track, basically, and he was being followed by a BMW 2002. So that could have been a pretty expensive crash if something had gone wrong there. But so yeah, I think I'm not saying it's bad. It's just you're not with people that do time trials regularly, or that are trying to do time trials regularly. So you got to take that into account.
It's kind of like going to a Corvette autocross in that respect, where there's some people that like show up to these 2 events a year and that's all they've ever done.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. And or it's like they do one track day a year because that's the one that their club puts on. And, they don't really have any business doing it, but the club's doing it. So it's fun for them to do. So,
are they cool with passengers and stuff like that? Or is that kind of a no-no?
I think the 60-mile-an-hour class, you can do passengers, but that's it. The 80 and the 100, there's no passengers. And
this isn't that far from my parents' house. Like, this is kind of interesting.
So how do they enforce? How do they enforce the speed limits?
They do have a guy with a radar gun on the back straight, and they will black flag you. I did not see it happen to anybody, but I did see the guy with the radar gun and the gentleman that was the race steward that did the driver's meeting so that they will black flag you.
Okay.
So I don't know. I was kind of surprised. I thought he was kind of bullshitting us, and then it's on that back straight, that Santa Fe straight, and I was looking out at one of what would have been a flag stand, but there wasn't a flag there, and sure enough, he's standing there with his hairdryer thing shooting down the track. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess they are.
Huh.
Apparently, this year's marquee car was Mustangs.
Oh, okay.
There was a special group for them.
Okay. I was thinking that was last year for some reason, but I think you're right. I think last year was Datsun.
Oh, that'd be a great year.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus.
But I got to do some charity parade laps. So I don't know. I don't think everybody wants to do these because I could kind of see it being a pain. But you can sign up to do these charity parade laps where basically people will pay, normal people will pay. I don't know what. They give some money to the charity, and you drive them. You do 2 laps around the track, and there's a 60-mile-an-hour speed limit, but you just kind of drive them around the track and show them around.
That's kind of cool, though. Yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
That'd be
I always like giving people rides in my car.
Yes.
Yeah.
I always thought that was kind of fun.
It's different for kids, like we get pretty desensitized to like speed and G's and just being on a track and stuff like that. So for a kid, however old, 12 years old, that's like it's a big deal. Like it's a completely new experience for them. And that's most of it is parents paying money to have, to let their kids jump in a car and ride around the track a couple times. So I don't know, that was kind of fun. That put some things in perspective too. Like you just get in this lane of needing faster, more, bigger, wider tires, yada, yada, yada. And I don't know, it's kind of fun to see it from somebody else's perspective.
Yeah, because 80 miles an hour feels like you're flying to someone that's not there before.
Yeah, and we took the top off to do the charity ride. So.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
Robbie, Dan Gurney, and Carroll Shelby have raced here.
It's legit. We have to go.
That's pretty cool. Apparently this was a real race, like an SCCA sanctioned, full-on race from 1959 to 1972.
Oh, that's cool.
Included cars from all major auto manufacturers, including Ferrari, Maserati, Shelby, Chevrolet, and Austin Healey, to name a few. Many famous race car drivers such as Dan Gurney and Carroll Shelby have raced here. Race fans now in their 60s and 70s from all over the country still remember heading to Garnett those weekends after the 4th of July to join an estimated 60 to 70,000 fans who sometime attended the events through the 60s.
Oh, my God. That's
Due
crazy.
to difficulties with crowd control and increasing safety concerns, the track was closed to competitive racing in 1972.
Wow.
And then they started doing the revival in 2013.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. I mean, I don't know if it's a every year thing for me, but it's a good time. I mean, it's definitely worth trying to run in it once. If you're nearby, it's definitely worth checking out.
My parents live like an hour north of Kansas City now.
Yeah.
So they're like not that far away. Because it's just a little bit south of Kansas City, it looks like.
Yeah, 45 minutes maybe.
Yeah.
It's like the same distance from Kansas City as it is to Topeka. Like you're going in a slightly different direction, but it's basically the same, whatever that is, 45 minutes an hour. So yeah, I would tell people to check it out. It's pretty fun. Obviously, there's guys bringing some stuff out there that you don't normally see, like that Lotus. And there was a few other things, too. I kind of got distracted by that car, but there was, some other stuff that's just unusual there. There's a lot of Austin Healey stuff. I don't know what the deal is, but, like, the British Car Club seemed to have a really good foothold in that area. Maybe it's everybody coming in from Kansas City, but tons of old Austin Healeys and whatever else that we don't normally see British Leyland stuff.
Cool.
So did this like? I know you kind of took a hiatus where you walked away for a while from like doing anything car related, besides like your Porsche. Has that has you've gotten the bug back?
Yeah, I think so. I think that I'm never going to be at the level that you're at, Robbie, and I don't know why. Like, it's hard for me to. It seems weird to say on a car podcast, and I was even there when I was doing the podcast, and it was hard to admit sometimes. But like, there's like a level that I want to be at that is fun and comfortable. Maybe not 100% comfortable, but it's still in that fun category, and it's not a chore. You know, I don't know what that looks like. If that's 3 or 4 track days a year, it probably is. Yeah. I wouldn't mind actually exploring a little bit of wheel to wheel. But I'm realistically probably not going to be in any points race at any time. You know what I mean? I just don't quite have that drive to go every time there's an event. Like I'm not quite there yet. Maybe I will be someday, but
I'm there.
I'm more like I totally, of course I haven't done an event in years, so I get that, I don't know. There's a lot of weekends that I don't have anything going on. I'm just like, man, this is fine, And I guess it's maybe a little different for me because I have a kid, and I want him to be able to do stuff, and that's a little different too for me.
Yeah.
But, no, I definitely get burned out. It seems like once September rolls around every year, it just seems like that's the month where I'm just like over it. I need a break. I've been busting my ass to get to a certain point. And by, stuff's broken in July, August, I'm scrambling to get it fixed, finish the season. Money's getting tight because it's been, obviously it's been an expensive year because every year is an expensive year, which is why, I'm looking at it where I want to go with it. And, this is why it's kind of like I look at it and like, well, maybe it makes sense just to have one car. But, I don't know. It's
just have one C5 Corvette, Robbie. That's it. Just get rid of all the rest of that crap.
So
you don't want to do wheel to wheel. Screw that.
No,
when we were at Pikes Peak for they called it Alpine Festival. There was no music or anything. It was just the racing. But Sunday before Robbie and I left, like just as the first session of the day went hot, Robbie asked Jabay if he was cool with letting him go do a couple of hot laps in Dalton's C6.
Mm-hmm.
And because drunk Dalton was talking shit about how there's no way that Robbie can be as fast as he is. And Robbie's like, he probably won't be, but like, if you're going to talk shit about it, I'm going to take you up on this opportunity.
I'll take the opportunity to jump in the car.
I'm going to steal your car for sure.
Yeah. So he went out and ran damn near a whole session in that car, and I think he kind of fucking loved it. And like I don't think it'd be that hard to talk Robbie into one C5 or C6 Corvette. Really.
No, because it just isn't what I'm after. I mean, I was kind of going down that, like, when I was younger, I kind of started doing autocross, and I did it for like a year, almost 2, and it's like, it was great to kind of get my feet wet and give me some idea where I wanted to go with it, and then just like, this isn't it. And then that led to like track days, which would ultimately was the plan was to get to time trials. And like I love time trials. I love what I'm being the TT director for DMVR and doing the mid-if stuff and doing the grid life time attack stuff. But like even now I'm just looking at it going, this isn't it either. Like this is still a stepping stone to me, and like I want to be doing wheel to wheel stuff. So like I'm still searching for that thing where I'm like here and I go, this is it. And I'm hoping that next year I find it, either whether it's with WRL with endurance racing or with GLTC. If I don't plan on doing actually GLTC racing next year, it's still the intent would be WRL all next year, with 2021 being the year that I really take the Z seriously. But it's just like I'm still searching for that thing where I'm like, this is it. And like I think I found it, because like even doing iRacing, I've been doing that so much more this year, and like I've gone up in licensing to like D or whatever. I'm not rookie anymore. And so I jump in a race the other day, and I'm in the Solstice, which is like ungodly slow, like lapped by the Miata slow. But they have it.
Watch it, Robbie.
But they have
it was actually a Saturn Sky, and it was dope.
No, it's the Solstice. But like it's one of the races you can do is it has a TDI, I think it's a Jetta, and then a Mustang and a Miata and a Solstice all in the same group. And obviously for some reason I was like, they're all the same car, and I like the Solstice, so I picked that, not aware that it's ungodly slow compared to the other cars. But I'm doing it, and I keep picking the Solstice because I'm deliberately practicing driving a slower car because the Porsche is only going to have 144 horsepower. So like I'm getting used to letting cars pass me, and then while racing the other Solstices, and like even as I'm doing, just iRacing, I'm just like, this is it. I like this. So like I've been the Miata lobbies are just the worst still, but because like we tried to we didn't know if we were doing the podcast tonight, so I was doing some iRacing stuff, and like okay, we can record as soon as I'm done with this race, and I get in there, and it's like the worst lobby I've ever been into. Like I'm let's see, I qualified fourth. We get into the first turn, and the guy that's in second place, because I worked my way up to third place by the second turn, and the guy in second place locks him up, and I avoid him just in time for him to crash basically everybody behind me. And then the guy in first place spins and then goes off track and then right back onto track and hits me. So like we didn't even make it 2 turns and everyone crashed. So so that's frustrating. But like for some reason I really enjoy that multiple class Solstice group, that like the racing's like so clean, and there's that for some reason the people that go to that group it's just better racing. So like I'm like super pumped on iRacing right now.
I kind of get that, because I was definitely envious of the vintage race guys, because they all seemed like they were having a good time, and they were all getting smoked by the Lotus dude, but they didn't really seem to care. And I don't know, everybody seemed kind of relaxed. Everybody was having a good time. Everybody kind of knew each other. But I still think that's like rich guy racing. Like that's like you somebody else worked on that car. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like
I think there is like a point where you're rich enough where you can do a type of racing where you can be stress free, because it's not your fucking problem. If the car, if something happens to the car, it's somebody else's problem. And I'm not saying that those guys were at that point, but it kind of was teetering on like, you got to have some money to be doing what these guys are doing.
So they have some 2020 photos posted on their website already.
Oh,
like I'm scrolling through here, and there's like an E-Type Jag.
Yeah,
that looks like
cool.
a real pretty serious car that I'm sure isn't cheap. And I don't know what this like prototype looking Jaguar is, but it looks dope. It's like an open,
that E-Type thing,
open cockpit. Yeah, there's like this open cockpit like prototype, like Le Mans car that has Jag livery on the side of it.
I think that guy actually owned the Lotus too. I think that was like a father-son duo.
That car looks pretty ridiculous. There's a Corvette in here that I think might be a tube chassis car. Maybe.
I don't remember that. Oh, it was a vintage vet, like a C3?
Yeah, like an older C3. It kind of looks, there was like a picture of it here where it was kind of pitched in a corner, and it kind of looks like a tube frame car. But then there's like this old like 30s thing. I don't know, like a Bentley or something. Who knows? That looks crazy and probably really expensive. Yeah, there's some interesting stuff here that might get kind of spendy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think like, because I know that they run a lot of like SVRA, and like there's some pretty wild, crazy, expensive cars that show up at some of those. But I can't imagine that they're all that like nutso.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's not as cost prohibitive as I am imagining, especially when you're like, I was in my group, like it was me and the 356 guy, and then the Lotus guy was coming over and talking, and you're just kind of like, yeah, this is not we're not playing the same game here.
Is it? Do you think it was a real 356, or do you think it was a?
Yeah, no, it was real.
Okay.
I was like, man, you're ballsy to come out here and drive that thing with
That
people
is kind of risky business.
Yeah, people that don't do track. He was the guy that almost got tangled up with the Cobra.
Was it this like kind of steel gray looking one?
Yeah, the one with the stripe over the top, the silver stripe.
Yep, I see it now. That's a oof.
Yeah, I don't know what that car's worth, but you probably don't want to know.
I mean, that's a 6-figure car, realistically, don't you think?
In that condition, absolutely.
I would say it was in good shape.
I mean, aren't
too.
they up in there?
I think so. It depends on like what engine you got and what production run it was and all this other crap that I don't understand about 356s. But
Right.
I mean, it's not a cheap car, and it looked, I'm sure it had a repaint, but it looked original.
I'll say it looks cherry. Like it's a very good looking, nice shaped car all around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But that was my experience. It was good.
Well, I'm glad you went out and had fun, dude. It's super awesome.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
for sure. And it, like Robbie was getting at, it kind of got the bug going again. So I'll do some time trials stuff next year, try to figure out what it is exactly that I'm trying to accomplish. I wish I knew like Robbie did. Robbie knows where he's going. I'm just kind of meandering around.
I wouldn't say I
aimlessly.
know where I'm going, but I'm on a path.
You're moving in a direction. I'm still kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing. A V8, not a V8. I don't have any idea.
It happens.
You know,
Jeff
as I
needs
sit
that.
here and think about it, what would have been a really great COVID activity would have been a road rally.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually had that thought because we're in October, and this is when they used to have the
Mid-coast.
Mid-Coast.
Yep.
And I was like, man, it sure be sweet to have Mid-Coast since I bought this Porsche.
Well, yeah, and
None of that purchase was for road rallying.
it wouldn't be hard to maintain the social distancing and stuff like that when like in the middle between your runs. And then, it's kind of like, when we were in high school, we used to play car hide and seek because we always felt like the girls always wanted to like hang out with their friends, but we just wanted to hang out with our girlfriends. So if we do this, then the girls are happy because they feel like they're doing stuff with their friends, but we're happy because we're not dealing with everybody else. Like it's kind of that idea, except, adults.
Yeah.
And, I think that would have worked well.
Yeah.
So
I think I don't know, you'd have to talk to the right people. I think Mid-Coast just got, it's a lot. It's for charity and it's a lot. I get it. And, a lot of the people that were doing it are busy people and business owners and whatnot. And it's a struggle. I think it's a lot of organization and a lot of trying to get donations and whatnot. But it'd be nice
think we'd just run a smaller scale thing and do it through the SCCA.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, aren't you
Wasn't
still?
it like literally $12 to run one of those insurance wise
Yeah, it was,
through the SCCA? It was something silly.
It was something
cheap.
stupid because there was never really a claim against it. Like it was super low risk, so there really wasn't much cost of insurance.
Right.
Aren't you still the road rally guy?
No, you got to re-up that every year.
Oh,
So I lost that last January. I was kind of bummed. I was like, that thing's not good for like 2 or 3 years at least.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Do you have to go to convention to get it again, or is there something?
I think you had to find someone that was certified as an instructor and get a re-up. And I don't know exactly how I would have done that. Go to Kansas City maybe. Yeah, it was kind of a deal.
Super annoying.
That's probably why it
like,
kind of
okay.
died. If it's
I know it used to be like wildly popular in our region. There used to be like that was a thing that they did multiples of a year.
that'd be super fun.
I asked there was a guy there from Kansas City region, and I asked him about it, and he didn't really know. I think he was a fairly new member. So I don't know, maybe you could dig around and figure out if they do that regularly or if there's somebody there that could help. But yeah, for sure. It'd definitely be fun to do. I mean, it's just one of those things where you're doing stuff with cars and it's kind of like however much you want to spend to do it. You know what I mean? There's people that do it in their daily drivers and then there's people that do it in Ferraris, So if you want to real serious about it and have your Valentine one and, you know, radios and maps and all this other shit, you can do that. Or if you just want to kind of drive around with your friends and try to not come last, you can do that too.
Yeah, you can take it as serious as you want. It was a blast. I'm long overdue for doing one of those again.
Yeah, other than making Robbie car sick.
Yeah, that's because I was trying to read the map and navigate like 3 different things.
Yeah, and I missed like 2 corners in a row, so we were trying to flip the car around quickly and get back on route, and Robbie's looking at the map at the same time going, oh shit, where are we supposed to be going? And
yeah, well, that's just it, because the roads changed names after a certain point, so then we're trying to find an updated map that had the most accurate name, so I'm trying to read while we're driving, and yeah, it definitely caught up to me for some reason. I'll just take some Dramamine before I go next time.
I think I would have gotten car sick too. I don't blame you. But
no, and I do fine if I'm in the driver's seat or in general, but like, yeah, if passenger seat or if I'm trying to read, then it'll catch up to me sometimes. Or like driving on a racetrack never gets to me. Being in a roller coaster gets to me. It's just.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's just weird.
It's kind of weird.
Well, boys, it's getting late.
It is getting late.
Yeah, we should round it up here. The fiance her ears are burning. She knows I was talking shit.
Mine, I think, is already in bed, so she's an hour ahead of me right now because she's in Pennsylvania. So,
nice.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Mine's still studying.
That's all she does. She's either studies or works. She barely even knows Robbie anymore.
You're living that life now, Robbie. I lived that life for a year and a half. Now you get to live it.
What? Don't tell her I said this, but it's kind of nice because she works Friday and Saturday night, so my whole weekends are completely free. I get so much shit done.
They don't feel bad about racing.
It's good that he does that she does that, because otherwise we'd have like no content, because I don't fucking work on my shit. It's just broke in my garage all the time.
All I do is wrench, because all my whole week is planned around the fact that I have Friday night and all day Saturday and Sunday to myself. So I'm always wrenching or editing or doing something. Or now it's iRacing. I'm just like hooked, but yeah, I was
surprised you said you were in a lobby tonight. And I was like, oh, Robbie's doing that again.
I've done it every day.
For a while, you're kind of like,
every day this week. Yep. Well, then
the Miata thing though, that it's really funny. It just sounds like a Miata lobby too. I don't know why.
It's like, the rookie
I've
lobby.
never seen Miatas crash into each other in real life, but for some reason, it sounds exactly like people that race Miatas that they would do that.
Well,
I don't know why.
Well, that's the rookie lobby, and that's where basically everybody starts. So like I'm bouncing
okay.
I'm bouncing between rookie lobbies and Class D lobbies, just doing different stuff. Because like if it's at a track I've never been, I want to learn it. And yeah, even if it's virtual, seat time is seat time. But like you get into grid, and then every single one of them just puts their foot to the floor. Every one of them.
So it's exactly like Spec Miata then in real life.
And then
I know, like when Josh and Dalton ran all the time, they were always like, "Don't even qualify. Just start in the back. It's better."
They're absolutely right.
Let them crash each other out, and then pass those guys, and then race with the ones who know how to get out of there clean.
Yep. Or do anything that's not a rookie class or a rookie license. I mean, even just going from rookie to Class D, dramatically different. But yeah, I'm trying to do more of that because if I can't afford to be on track every weekend, I'm going to do more iRacing. That I want to be a better driver, and so it helps. So but no joke, it's like visually, it's helped dramatically. Like I can in the past, like if I would hop on even at the sim or a new track, like NCM last year at TT Nationals, I'd never truly learned that track, and I struggled like with where my eyes need to be and like predicting the next corner, and like even just doing like obviously all the track days I did this year, and then iRacing, I can hop on a new track and not do any practice, do the qualifying, obviously I wouldn't qualify great, and then do the race and not have any dramatic offs. So like even just like that little bit, I know that I'm improving as a driver. Just so it's just kind of fun for me. I just want to be better because I'm not good yet.
I get it, Robbie, in that drive that I wish I had.
I'm just super stubborn and I want to be good at driving. So like, I don't want any nannies in my car. I want to have to. I don't know. I just want it to be all me. I want to be good at this. So
that's good. You got a goal though.
Yeah.
I mean,
even if
it's
it's
working
not
on something.
Yeah. If it's not a truly tangible, like I want to be at a certain point and at this age, but like I just want to be better. I just want to be better at this. Every time I go do it, I want to learn something and be better. But anyways.
All right, boys. I better jump off.
Yeah, I'll let you go. And it was awesome
Thanks
having
for
you
coming
on.
back, man.
Yeah. We'll
a
do
ton
some
of
more
fun.
stuff next year, and I'll come back and chat with you a little bit.
Yeah,
Or
you're welcome here whenever you want.
if we do
So
we talked about maybe an anniversary show, which I think that's in February.
January.
Yes.
Around January, February. But we'll figure it out.
Our first show was the 31st of January was when it was released.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
All right, guys. Stay safe.
Yep, you too, man. Catch everybody else next week.
Yep.